Welcome, viewers. I'm your host, Nitro, and this is Nitro Reviews, the show that covers some of the greatest animation series that made your childhoods. And on a completely unrelated note, here's Planet Sheen, the poster child for all things low quality. And no matter how conflicting opinions get online, I have yet to see a single person defend this show. I mean, I'm certainly not going to. But instead, let's dissect this monstrosity and see why it gives us space dwellers such a bad name. Planet Sheen is a spin-off of the show Jimmy Neutron, and, as the name suggests, it follows the space-bound adventures of some of the show's comedic relief characters, Sheen. He lands on a new planet, befriends some new characters, some of which is literally a palette swap of a character from Jimmy Neutron, and the rest is self-explanatory. One thing I should mention is that the show never intended to be a spin-off in the first place. It was going to be about a fast food worker who ended up getting sent to a strange new planet. But Nickelodeon didn't like that idea. They hated it. Worst pitch they've ever seen. Well, the creators went back to the drawing board and swapped the wage slave for Sheen, and suddenly, Nickelodeon thought they had struck a gold mine. This shouldn't be surprising in the least. The network has a history of churning out low-quality spin-offs. It'd take a whole video in itself to cover them all, but to sum up just how bad Nickelodeon is with them, they were trying to put out a spin-off of Gibby from iCarly back in 2012. And it wasn't until this year that the pilot for it was discovered, and they passed on this spin-off while continuing on with Sam and Cat, which is its own little mess. Essentially, Nickelodeon is in this mindset that if you take popular characters and put them in completely different shows, that would be more of a success than just continuing the original show. Which is quite literally the only reason Planet Sheen even exists. Nickelodeon thought the show wasn't making any profits and was getting too expensive to make, so they refused to greenlight a new season, and the animation studio making it went bankrupt. But all of a sudden, they hear a pitch that they already rejected once and instead just make Sheen the main character, and they feel like this is gonna be their golden ticket to success. Spoiler, it wasn't. But you better believe Nickelodeon promoted the show like their lives depended on it.
Sheen might not be the smartest guy on Earth, but on this planet...
Can you do this?
Amazing!
Where's the bathroom in this place?
On a scale of 1 to no... See what the whole universe...
Every other ad was shoving that Sheeny goodness right in your face. This kind of treatment you wish they would have given the shows like Harvey Beaks. But no. Nickelodeon just doesn't care about promoting your show unless it's a spin-off of some kind. I mean, these are the people who announced 2 SpongeBob spin-offs just months after the creator passed away. And both shows wouldn't release until several years later, almost as if they had only just been put into production. Okay. Alright. I'm sorry for getting off track a bit. It's just disheartening that Nickelodeon hasn't changed one bit in over a decade. Anyways, I've spent all this time bashing the show, but what actually makes Planet Sheen so bad? Well, simply put, what makes a comedy relief character work? Companies always make the mistake of believing that if you take this beloved character for one show and create an environment that can amplify their comedic nature, that it'll produce a masterclass product everyone will love. The problem with this is that the spinoff is made from the point of view of some out-of-touch executives. The character's no longer the integral part of some passionate story made from the mind of its creator. Planet Sheen takes place in a strange alien planet with all sorts of wacky customs and weird creatures. There is no longer a straight man to react to Sheen's absurdity. Instead, everything is just trying to one-up him. Because of this, the jokes just don't land like they otherwise should.
Where's your ear?
Right here.
Screaming in horrific fear is a great compliment on my planet.
Oh, I see.
You look like you could use a bleed on a stick.
Hello! I sincerely
hope you enjoy your bling on a stick.
Taking away gravitas from a comedic character is like trying to do slapstick with a character who can't feel pain or doesn't react to being harmed. It just isn't funny. And if your show is centered around a comedic relief character, it's kind of an important aspect you can't afford to neglect. Since the show's plot only exists as a setup for the situation Sheen is in, all you have left to rely on is the humor. That's why the show being painfully unfunny is a much bigger deal than it would be in any other show. But I will admit, the show does have one redeemable quality to it. The main villain, Dorcas.
Well, Sheen, why don't you take a closer look?
Just about every other character in this show is nothing great. The warrior girl, non-existent. The monkey, pointless. The snail, even more pointless, since it's quite literally just the character Carl, but for some reason, they weren't allowed to use the original character, and instead we're forced to make a new one that looked and sounded and acted like him in every way. Dorcas, however, is a different story. For starters, he's voiced by the legendary Jeff Bennett, who is just an absolute treat in everything he's in. And second, he is the show's villain. You see, he has a grudge against Sheen, because when Sheen first arrived on the planet, he had crashed into his house. Then Sheen won over the emperor of the planet and ended up taking Dorcas's job as royal advisor. And Sheen is constantly making fun of his name. And yeah, I mean, maybe he really isn't the bad guy after all. That's part of why he's such a redeemable quality for the show. He's a character who doesn't put up with Sheen's crap. A sane man in an insane world.
You ruin my home, then somehow take my primary position with the Emperor?
You just can't help but root for the guy. And he honestly makes the episode bearable to watch while he's on screen. The only problem, though, is that when the show treats him like he's in the wrong, so his plans are always backfiring, and we're supposed to cheer on as Sheen continues harming him and destroying his life. I just think that speaks volumes to just how unlikable they made what was supposed to be one of the most liked characters in Jimmy Neutron. Maybe Planet Sheen could have had a chance if it was made by people who cared about making a good show, but it's not worth the energy pondering what could have been with Planet Sheen. I mean, despite Nickelodeon promoting the hell out of it, Planet Sheen had nothing of substance to offer. The only funny joke to be found is how the show was promoted as Nickelodeon's next big hit. But it barely lasted a single season. And unfortunately, Nickelodeon would be doomed to repeat their mistakes for years to come. Anyways, thank you for tuning in to this broadcast of Nitro Reviews. Feel free to leave a like, and if you're interested in future episodes, then be sure to subscribe. It really helps support the channel and what we do here, and thank you all for watching. We hope to see you again in the next episode.